So one new thing that's new in Apple world is that we've got a new lockdown feature headed to several Apple devices, which sounds interesting. It's extra protection, extra security for Apple users, but it's probably not something that your average everyday Apple user is going to end up using. It's more like if a state is after you, meaning like a country with vast resources, maybe you're a journalist, maybe you're doing something important, maybe you live somewhere where the government's just cracking down on people and you wish that they wouldn't. Well, lockdown mode. So this coverage comes from The Verge. It says Apple's taking steps to increase security for people like journalists, activists, and politicians with a new setting in iOS 16, iPadOS 16, and macOS Ventura called lockdown mode. So the idea here is to block hacking attempts, malware attempts, attempts that somebody might use to get into your phone that maybe the average person's not equipped to actually defend against. So in the security world, they would say you're hardening your device. So the guts here are that lockdown mode blocks many message attachment types, disables link previews, it turns off certain web browsing technologies by default, it blocks invitations and FaceTime calls from unknown sources, it locks down wired connections to computers or accessories while the device is locked, and it disables the ability to add new configuration profiles or enroll in mobile device management. So I don't know if you're familiar with Google's Project Zero team. I wasn't until recently, but you know what a 0-day exploit is, right? It's something that you don't know about, nobody knows about, not even Apple knows about, or any other, computing platform or hardware software maker. You have 0 days to plan for the exploit. It just hits you. So iPhones have been targeted by Pegasus, which is a 0-click scenario that used a GIF exploit in iMessage in the background to attack somebody's phone. In other words, with Pegasus, there's just nothing that you can do about it. If somebody wants in and they have Pegasus, they're going to get in. That's what this is actually designed to protect against. Basically, with the name lockdown mode, the analogy is kind of like, if your iPhone was a house and you just go about your day, you think that it's locked, but actually you have several windows and maybe the back door open that you didn't realize were actually not locked. And so lockdown mode closes those doors, those windows, at least a lot of the known avenues that somebody might use to get in without your knowledge or against your will. So here's Apple's actual description here. Lockdown mode is an extreme optional protection that should only be used if you believe you may be personally targeted by a highly sophisticated cyber attack. Most people are not targeted by this, it says. But when iPhone is in lockdown mode, it will not function as it typically does. Apps, websites, and features will be strictly limited for security, and some experiences will be completely unavailable. In other words, this isn't something that you're going to want to use on a daily basis. This is something that you use in very limited extreme scenarios. So it's interesting, when you turn this on, you can see you turn it on and you restart your phone in this lockdown mode. So this is brand new. We're just seeing this in iOS 16, the developer beta 3, but the article goes on to say that Apple's been criticized in the past for not working with security researchers to find and close flaws in its platforms. But I guess the criticism was that was maybe more generalized, I suppose. And here, Apple knows, here's a quote from Apple. From their head of security engineering and architecture, Ivan somebody, I'm not going to even try to pronounce the last name. While the vast majority of users will never be the victims of highly targeted cyber attacks, we will work tirelessly to protect the small number of users that are. And you know what? I like this. The way things are going in the world, it feels like you almost have no privacy. Security is almost non-existent in the digital realm. And I like that Apple's at least making some sort of effort and some strides so that if you do become the target, you never know when this might happen, right? Whether you care about some issue that the government doesn't want you to care about or something. These are crazy times. It's nice to know that there's at least some recourse, some buffer. And somewhat related, at WWDC, Apple also said it's got a new rapid security response feature, which is going to enable patches for security flaws that roll out faster and can take effect on a Mac without requiring a reboot. So that's on the Mac side, but also Apple's developing this new passkey technology, which I haven't talked a whole lot about. I've just mentioned it in a few videos. But that's getting around the whole phishing issue, right? If you don't even know your password in the first place to accidentally give it out, you're already automatically way more secure. So anyways, I'm excited about this. It's pretty cool. It was unexpected, just kind of appeared all of a sudden. Does this mean that we're going to be invulnerable as iPhone users? Of course not. So, and the reason is it's lucrative. right? If somebody can find an exploit out there, there's going to be somebody who's willing to pay a lot of money to be able to use it. But one thing that Apple's doing also is they're increasing what they're going to pay for their bug bounty program. I think to like $2 million or something. That's going to be the bounty for, quote, qualifying findings, unquote, in lockdown mode. 2 million. That's a lot. So Apple's pretty serious. And actually, they're funding a pool of money for that bug bounty program if they win a lawsuit that they filed against NSO Group, which is who developed Pegasus. If they win that, they're going to add any winnings that they're awarded to an already $10 million grant to support organizations that investigate, expose, and prevent highly targeted cyber attacks. So that's where we're at right now. Lockdown mode. It's coming, and you're going to have access to it.